You're listening to a Prairie Punk House Companion right here on the Prairie Punk Press Network. The views expressed by any host or any guest on the Prairie Punk House Companion are the personal views or opinions of the people who express them and do not reflect the views or opinions of anyone else on the show or any company, employer, or any other organization that the individual expressing them has or will affiliate with in the past, present, or future. Hi everybody, listen to a Prairie Punk House Companion. We are on episode 33. My name is Neckbone.
Hi, I'm Jerbear, and while you're listening to this on Saturday, I'll be getting a tattoo.
Oh,
Woohoo.
what tattoo are you getting?
I'm gonna get a battle walrus on my
Oh yeah,
leg.
that's right.
Hmm.
Didn't your kid pick that out?
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
It'll be my last, the last of my uh weird animals on my
Hmm.
leg for my kids because I've got an octopus juggling chainsaws and a chicken snake and now a battle walrus.
Nice, that's good. We have a guest tonight.
Yes, we do.
Hmm.
Our friend Chris.
Yeah.
Hello.
Uh, we met you. Did we meet you the same time we met Nick Mayo? Was that
It was around
about
that time.
when that
You guys,
happened?
I feel like I met you guys through Nick Mayo, and I'm
Uh-huh.
assuming he met you guys through Justin. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Well, I don't know if Neckbone, I don't know if you were there the first time I met Nick Mayo, because I think it was with Justin, and
Probably.
it might have been before you moved
I
up
think it was
when
before
we
I
were
was
still
still in
house sitting.
Wichita. Yeah.
So yeah, that may have been that.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I remember the exact first time we met, Chris, but I know that there was a lot of GoldenEye going on when we
yeah,
Hmm.
first met.
Yeah.
yeah. I used to hang out at. I used to hang out a lot at Nick Mayo's house. We'd play GoldenEye, which I was terrible at.
Hmm.
Make the weird. He had this some kind of TVP meat that he would get.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I've never seen since. I don't
Oh,
remember.
really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was probably just like something generic, but yeah, it was just the meat and the hot sauce and
Hmm.
just hard shell tacos, and then like a
Yeah,
12 pack of soda.
yeah. You guys were the worst fucking vegans I'd ever met.
Yeah.
Sure.
Super unhealthy. Like just smashing through those stereotypes of vegans being healthy. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
There was that Chinese food restaurant in like the mall in Overland
yeah, for
Park.
sure.
We just
Home,
mhm.
get the
home style
vegetable
tofu.
style tofu, family style tofu with no
Yeah, yeah,
vegetables.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just tofu and brown sauce.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
Fried. Yeah, that
And
was at Metcalf Mall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Closed
Yeah.
down now, gone. I think Metcalf Mall's gone.
Are there any
When's
malls
the
left in Kansas City?
Um,
yeah,
the big one in
Oak
Overland Park,
Park.
I can't remember. Yeah,
Oak
Oak Park
Park,
Oak
Mall.
Park
Yeah,
Mall.
that's still
Yeah.
around.
where I
We
worked in high school.
Hmm.
we go there every now and again when we
Yeah.
visit Kansas City. They
There's all
used
the
to
outdoor
have
ones
they
too.
used to have a Disney store in there, and that's why we would go, but they don't have a
Hmm.
Disney store anymore.
Yeah. They still have
My
all the
wife is a
outdoor ones,
big
like the one in
Disney fan.
KCK and the one by the airport. They're like kind of like faux downtowns. Lenexa built a downtown from scratch. I'm sure it's gorgeous.
Mm,
Oh,
mhm.
good suburban
When's the last time you
downtown.
were in Kansas, Chris?
Last summer, I was there in like like mid like Western Kansas,
Oh yeah.
like near Andale. I don't remember the name of the
Okay.
town. Carolina's Wedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Andale's pretty close to Wichita.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually I meant to get in touch with you, but our flight was delayed, and so we literally
Oh
like
yeah.
went in, rented a car, and then drove straight to the wedding. So,
Yeah. Damn.
but I did
That's
see,
cool.
I saw Andy and a bunch of other like there wasn't a ton of Kansas people there, but it was
Hmm.
mostly like New York folks. But yeah,
Oh
quite
yeah.
full of Kansas people. Yeah.
That's cool. She used to work at the Riverside Perk, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
and I knew her a little bit, but not very well. And then, like right after I moved back from Lawrence to Wichita, I think like probably 6 months later, she moved up to Lawrence.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, because that's I knew her from Lawrence when she moved
Mhm.
there to go to college, and
Yeah. So, we've talked to Thule, we've talked to Joe, and we've talked to Johnny.
mhm.
How do you fit in with those other Johnson County punks? And how did you get into the punk rocks? And what was the first like pivotal punk rock band for you?
I mean, I moved to Kansas City when I was in like eighth grade. I think I
Okay.
moved. I was born in in southeastern Kansas, and then lived in Oklahoma, which was probably where I got into skateboarding and things like that. So I got into
Hmm.
like those types of bands, like you know Rancid, No Effects, plus, but like before that, even the like grunge stuff, like of course
Uh-huh.
Nirvana and all that, Green Day, things like that. And then when I moved to Kansas City, that was I met these in Olathe, Kansas. I met these kids at my middle school that were like the first, crusties. Uh, these two kids, both named Matt, and they were just like skateboarder kids that like, had t-shirts with bands I couldn't read. And that was like that was like the really exciting thing for me was like, oh, this is like seems scary and dark and like just different than like the more accessible things that I was into. And then when I moved after in ninth grade, I moved to like Shawnee, Kansas, which is where I went to high school with Joe. And that was when it kind of really, I met like Brad and Jeff and all those kids. And that was really when I guess it was like that's when punk became like every part of life, I guess.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was like I was thinking about this the other day, how like quickly the you just like absorb music when you're young like that. It's just like it goes from you're listening to Green Day one day, and then like you listen to Mankind or whatever. Like it just all
Hmm.
happens so fast because you're just like you see a t-shirt, and then you like try and find like it's not like today where you can look things up on the internet. So
Hmm.
just like that looks cool, I'm going to figure out how to get that. Or
Hmm.
you go to a record store and a record or a CD would look cool, so you just buy it like hoping that it was cool.
Right. Yeah.
And you'd have to read all the liner notes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. That's how I found out about like bands like Osterotten and some of those
Hmm.
other Pittsburgh
Hmm.
bands was from like an anti-flag lyric book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking anti-flag. God. I never liked them, but I especially don't like them any fucking
I
more.
Yeah.
I did like them once
Bag.
upon a time. But yeah. Agree about the now part. Not so much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, the Justin was my entrance to crusty stuff. So I was similar boat, like accessible, more accessible punk rock, stuff like that. I was listening to some mildly obscure stuff like the Crucifix and stuff like that, but I had no idea what else was out there until I met Justin. He was the crusty kid in town and got me into all that shit. So
Yeah. No, and and then like, I would go to G Coffee like almost
mhm.
every weekend, especially when I lived in Olathe. Like it didn't matter like what was happening, you would just go to hang out.
Mhm.
Like there'd be kids hanging out outside, that was, kids would be drinking. There would always, I don't know how people got alcohol, like, but it was just like, you
We'd
know,
always
the,
found a way.
exactly. And that's when I first started. I think that's where I met Johnny because he had like a distro and,
Hmm.
he just had like patches that I'd never heard of and like CDs. And I don't remember if I think he probably had a handful of 7 inches. Like I remember, I think I bought like a Civil Disobedience 7 inch from him and like,
Nice.
yeah.
What in the not in the Mouth of Madness? That's a
In a few
movie.
hours of madness.
In a few hours of madness. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a good
Still think
seven
that
inch.
record's great. It's
Yeah, it's so good. And like Yeah, we were talking to Johnny about that 7 inch and how interesting civil disobedience was on the, political prisoners tape
Hmm.
and in a few hours of madness, how musically, sonically interesting they were. And then they moved to Minneapolis and the LP they put out was kind of bland and sounded like everything else. Kind of
Totally.
lost its
They were from like Detroit, right? So it's kind of
yeah.
like
Mhm.
isolated,
Yeah.
make your own, you know.
Yeah. Back when regionalism mattered.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Even the
Right.
difference between Detroit and Minneapolis was enough that there was a unique sound there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I miss regionalism in music quite a bit.
Well, I just like the thinking about like kind of isolated towns, just like the making your own fun, like you just kind
Hmm.
of
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Chris, you lived in a bunch of different houses too. What I honestly don't know all the different houses you lived in because I wasn't sure which ones you lived in, which ones you were crashing in, or which ones you were just hanging out in. So, what are the different houses you lived in?
Well, when I was still in high school, me and Nick and Ray and Dave Strano all were looking for a place to rent in Kansas City, and nobody would rent to us because we didn't have any sort of rental anything. And so we would go to Lawrence like to shows, and we met all the kids at the Pirate House. And being a college town, they're just like, yeah, we'll rent to anybody. So we rented the Flanders House. That was like the first punk house that I ever lived in. And then when that fell apart, when we all moved out of there, I moved into the Pirate House, but I wasn't paying rent for a long time. And then I was for a while. And then I moved into that place, the Mother Earth Collective, which then became the Black Cat Collective,
Mhm.
which was it was less of a punk house. I mean, it was a punk house, but it wasn't like the same as like a normal
Right.
punk. It's like trying to be like an activist house or whatever.
It
Mhm.
wasn't as many shows. It was more, yeah, just
Yeah,
activism. Hmm.
totally. And then after that, I just kind of like lived in like apartments and shitty houses. I lived in a house with this guy. Uh, I don't remember his name actually. His name was like Joe or something. He was a friend of mine's boyfriend, and I think the entire year that we lived there, he slept there like once or twice. So all of these like random other kids that I was friends with like ended up living there. Like these train rider kids would come and like stay for weeks at a time, and yeah,
Mhm.
it was stupid, but because I had like a full-time job, and they
Oh
were just
shit.
and they were just like crashing there all the time. But yeah, that was the Pirate House and the Flanders House was really the only punk houses in like Lawrence that I lived in. And then I lived in some apartments in Kansas City, but never really punk houses, I guess. Like me and Jesse moved into a house together, and then Laszlo lived there for a while.
Hmm.
But that was the last house I lived in Kansas City. But yeah,
Hmm.
there were really only two like punk houses in that area that I lived in. And yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I still remember the landlord's name at the Flanders House. His name was David Gage, and he was
Oh
a
wow.
terrifying human being.
He was what?
He was terrifying.
Oh, why's
He was
that?
like
Like how
he was
so?
a
Yeah.
terrible slumlord,
Well, yeah.
and you would have to, since this is like you know 2000 or whatever, we would go and pay rent in cash because
Hmm.
that's what you did. And he just
Right.
was like, just you'd ask him to fix something, he'd just look at you like you were insane, and like
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
super intimidating. Like I don't exactly remember what he looked like, but I remember him being like short and like really stocky with a shaved head. And he just like did not want to do anything in the house, and like everything,
Yeah.
I mean, we trashed the place, but like
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I remember Joe said like one of his bedroom walls just collapsed while he was
yeah.
in his room. It's like, yeah, that tracks for the Flanders house.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Who was more responsible for that, the slumlord or you guys?
50-50.
I I I would say more the like lack of maintenance to the house.
Hmm.
Literally, it was like the siding fell off the house.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I remember, I think Joe had to like break the wheels off of his like TV stand because they would just like roll to the center.
Yeah.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Hmm.
I took a shower there one time, and the water in the shower was about 4 inches deep.
Yeah,
Not from me, just from the shower. I felt dirtier when I got out of the shower than before I got in it.
You'd have
yeah,
been better off just getting sprayed with
Yeah,
a hose in the yard.
right. Yeah, that
yeah,
was a fucking filthy house.
Hmm.
yeah. I remember the washing machine, the drain, it just was like a pipe going like into like a smaller pipe, so it would overflow all the time. So there'd just be
Oh
like
yeah.
water all over the floor and
I remember that too. That's good times. Yeah.
roaches everywhere. Like I don't know, we just had no business being like living there. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe was like the oldest person, and I think he was like 19 when we moved in there. Like,
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because were you guys even 18 yet?
I wasn't. I think everybody else was, but when
Okay.
Mm.
we moved in,
Who
I was not.
who was still were you still going to were you still in high school? Okay.
Yeah, we moved in. I was in like February of my senior year. I think like
Okay.
Nick had graduated early, and I think Ray had dropped out or something, and I
Hmm.
think it was like a
Hmm.
year older. So yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember I had to like have my mom come and sign a like basically like what do you call it, a cosigner? Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
sign because
Yeah.
yeah, they were like, we're not gonna rent to you.
Right.
Mhm.
Not even 18 years old. I'm surprised they let you live. I mean, you did say slumlord, so
Yeah,
you probably
for
didn't care
sure.
that much.
Yeah. I mean, it was Lawrence. It was like, right there in the like college row, like every
Right.
other house was like, you know, 18-year-olds being
Yeah.
Yeah.
nuts.
Oh, yeah.
When did you move out of Kansas and head to the Northwest? And how long ago was it? And what took you out there?
Well, first in like 2006, I moved to New York.
Oh, okay.
It was me, Jesse Heckman, Daniel, and Carolina.
Okay.
All moved there together. Like Jesse was going to college, and I think Carolina was already living out there, and I just
Hmm.
went along because I didn't have anything else to
Hmm.
do. And then we rented like another shitty house that was just like down the street from our friend's house that was, and I quickly realized how expensive everything was because
Hmm.
I literally had zero. Like I remember like we wanted to go to this like punk fest in Philly a couple weeks after we moved there, and I realized I had absolutely no money. Like I'd
Hmm.
overdrawn my bank account on the trip out there somehow.
Nice. See, what you got to do is you got to go to Dylan's with a checkbook. Then you write a check to Dylan's, and then by the time they actually cash the check, it's too late. You already have the cash and you've already spent it. That's
Yeah,
a great way to run your finances. I did that for a
Yeah.
long time.
I definitely have done the like you have direct deposit and you just like wait until midnight for it to go in before you're
Yeah.
able to buy anything.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite Pirate House show and your favorite Flanders show?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think what the Locust was like probably one of the most memorable, but there were so
Hmm.
many shows at the Pirate House. Like, remember DS13 was great.
Hmm.
That Faint show was like ridiculous for like its own different
Yeah,
reasons.
for
And
sure.
then I think also just the like um the matinee shows were like a ton
Hmm.
of fun.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Flanders House, I mean, the Against Me show was great. I feel like State of Fear show like ruined my that like took the like my dis that like made me disillusioned with punk.
Oh, really? How come?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. How
because it was
so?
just so fucked
They
up.
just were like I was so excited about them
Hmm.
playing. I was like,
Mhm.
this is gonna fucking roll. And I think back then I definitely had this kind of like naive idea about like what I thought punk was gonna be for me.
Hmm.
Right.
Had these, I wanted to like, have a situation like, the Dial House, like, where Crass lived. I was like,
Right.
this,
Yeah.
gonna do this kind of stuff. And then they came and were just like, just kind of, dicks. I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Oh, that
not like
sucks.
they weren't dicks. I guess they just were like, whatever, we're playing a show. And like there were so many people there that like
Hmm.
it didn't matter that like, I was, didn't even really get to talk to them. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know, it's just funny now to think about it. But like I was just like, oh yeah, they're just like drunks that want to go like party. And that was just it was not like what I was looking for at the time.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they're just playing at this random house in a random town in one of the rectangle states with a bunch
Exactly.
of 18-year-olds or younger.
Exactly. Like, and now I'm like, oh, duh. Of course, they were just going to be like, where
Right.
the fuck are we? We're in Kansas.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing every time. Anytime I tell people up here in Chicago or people I know other places about the podcast, their reaction is the same. There was a punk scene in Kansas.
Yeah.
Like they just have
And
they can't even imagine it.
it's funny to think about like, there was, when I think about the people that moved to Seattle, there's like three different, like, distinct punk scenes. There was like
Mhm.
the stuff that, like, before my time with like Brandon and like
Mhm.
Black Label and Derailer and all those people. And then there was like the punk scene I was a part of, and then there was like like after that, which I was still kind of a part of, but there was like the house, the Haunted Kitchen.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That,
I
like,
remember the Haunted Kitchen.
yeah, I like became really good friends with all of those folks.
That was all the Okies that lived
Yeah, yeah.
there. Yeah.
Mhm. Like towards the end of my time there, I like hung out there all the time because Jamie Timberg lived in that
Oh
house.
yeah. Yeah, I
And
forgot
so when
about that.
people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you used to live in Lawrence," they always mention the Haunted Kitchen, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I was there before that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Haunted Kitchen, I still call that the new house. Oh, that's the
Yeah,
new one.
exactly.
Yeah, I think I went there twice before I moved back
Yeah.
to Wichita.
Hmm.
I saw Camaro Smith
Yeah.
there, I think, and Salt the Earth probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they played there a bunch of times, if I remember
Yeah.
right. So, yeah.
Marty is now a country and western singer and songwriter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kept-
He's from my hometown of
Oh,
Shaniki.
for real? Okay,
Yeah.
Chanute. Was it you that told me about the girl that cut his belly open?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, she like cut him wide open, but she like slashed his stomach.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh,
he is still
nice.
alive, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not that far
Yeah, his
open.
guts didn't spill out or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, he's fine. He has not been bifurcated as far as we know.
We can talk shit if we want. You can
Oh no, I
Yeah,
was
you
remove
can
just
say
it
whatever
from
you want,
the
man.
we can remove it.
like when I
He
met him, he was in a ska band.
Are you
Oh, really?
serious?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
He I don't know if you've heard his country and western band or not, but he speaks with a southern drawl now,
Okay.
and it's
Like just like when he
he's
sings or all the time?
no, when he talks,
Oh.
he's such a fucking tourist. It's funny.
Oh. Is his country and western band good?
I don't know. I haven't bothered to listen.
Okay. I don't know because there is like, that like subgenre of like hipster country. I don't know if
I
it
mean, I'm
was,
sure that's what he's trying to do.
yeah. Mhm.
Right.
I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
country of any kind. So,
Oh, I like some country. It's fine.
yeah.
It's just fun. He's just funny. Like I'm not trying. I mean, I'm talking a little bit of shit, but like he's a nice guy,
Hmm.
at least on the surface, as far as I know. He's mostly harmless. He at least portrays decent politics. He's just kind of funny with how he shapeshifts into what is popular at the moment, maybe. But I guess if you're trying to make money off of music and make a career out of it, and that's what you care about, I guess you kind of do that. I'm not a fucking purist in any way. It's interesting the persona that he puts on. I've been seeing on Facebook lately, Canopy ads, showing Decline of Western Civilization 3.
Interesting.
Pretty interesting, yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
the saddest one by far.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So, speaking of that, did you start riding trains for a while after you left Lawrence?
Yeah. Daniel and I rode a few trains. I think in like 2004 or something like
Mhm.
that. And then I kind of left town for a while, and then myself and Damien or Raymond,
Mhm.
yeah, we rode a few trains together. And then when I ended up moving to New York, I just kind of started riding a lot of trains around that time. Like I
Mhm.
went to uh, All Punks Meet in St. Louis in 2006.
Mhm.
I went there with the intention of meeting up with some kids from New York who had driven there, but then the people I was supposed to meet up with didn't show up. So I
Mhm.
was kind of stuck, and like just a couple kids that I knew, we like went to Chicago together, and actually stayed with Joe that time.
Mm.
First
Oh
time I
yeah.
came there. And then I made my way back to New York, and yeah, just I don't know, just kind of did that for a handful of years. I always had somewhere to live, but
Mhm.
definitely like yeah, it was a big part of my life for I don't know, 10 or so years.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time.
Um,
Yeah.
so we haven't talked to anybody yet who was hopping trains and shit. Is there anything uh any good stories or any cautionary tales or anything worth talking about? Or
I mean,
I
it's
I can't imagine it's nearly as romantic as some people think it is.
Yeah.
I mean
It
it
doesn't sound like it.
yeah, it's a lot of like sitting around and then a lot of being miserable, but then there's the like just most beautiful shit you've ever seen in your entire life when you're like in the
Mhm.
middle of nowhere. And yeah, and then you're seeing this stuff that like literally nobody sees unless you're, a train conductor.
Mhm.
And it's that I mean makes it worth it, and it's fun to like get somewhere for free. But then there's also the like I was good at I never like had to deal with like too many crazy, stabbing oogle types. Like I was pretty
Mhm.
good at avoiding that. But I definitely I don't know, in like 2009 I went to Mexico with some friends, and we rode trains all over Mexico, and that was I mean, we should have died. We like
Oh
I
shit.
still don't speak Spanish, but like we were just like drunk and idiotic and like just being the biggest dumbasses on the planet. But it was also like literally like running across the tops of trains while they're moving.
Oh fuck.
And
Wh- What made you want to go hop trains in Mexico specifically? Curious.
there's this area there called the Copper Canyon that has like a tourist train that goes through it.
Hmm.
Heard about it, and my friend wanted to go, and my girlfriend at the time had just broken up with me. So I was just like, fuck, let's go. So we bought one way plane tickets, and we had some friends that lived in Mexico City. And so we went down there and met a bunch of, punks down there through my friends. And then we were like, all right, we're going to go hitchhike to meet our other friends. And then it was just, a drunken, idiotic debauchery.
There was a lot of that
I
back then.
I
Yeah.
assume you survived.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Whew. That was kind of a cliffhanger there.
It was, it's wild. Like, so if you're going south and down there, it's like you're literally the only people there, and nobody really cares that you're on the trains. But when you're going north, it's like there's like migrants everywhere. So like
Mhm.
you'll get on a train and there'll be like 30 people on the car, like just
Oh
right
wow.
at the top. And we only did that a couple times, and that was kind of terrifying
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
it's like everybody's like, "Whoa, there's white people on here!" Like, so like people will like come back to you, and then like that's when
Mhm.
like the guards and stuff will take notice, and like if you're going south, they don't give a shit, but if you're going north, they're like, "What the fuck's going on? Like, what are you doing?"
Right.
Mhm.
We had like
Yeah.
a we ended up with a lot of people at one point, so that definitely stuck out.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wild.
So do they not just, I mean, you said when you're south, they don't really give a shit.
Yeah, because they're just like, it's just like because people actually commute, like they travel around that way without, and like
Hmm.
as long as they'll kind of say like, if you catch a train when it's like leaving the yard, like when it's moving, they don't care. But if
Yeah.
you're hanging out in the yard, then they'll kind of
Hmm.
get upset with you. But yeah, then and then like going north, it's like, there's people that are trying to, get to the US or whatever.
Yeah.
There's different areas where like they'll kick everybody off in like, certain towns. Well, so like then the train will leave without anybody on it. So then they have to wait for the next one. And like, I don't know, it's
Mm.
just like a whole different thing than it is like, riding trains here, where obviously it's illegal here, but it's not like you're not going to find a train with like 50 people on it that are all like visible.
Right.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's wild.
How prevalent is train hopping in the US though? I mean, you're out of it for a while, but
I'd say, I mean, I know a lot of people that still do it pretty regularly.
Mhm.
I feel like anybody that does it with any regularity has to be, you can't be a drunken oogle. You got to be kind of smart about it.
Mhm.
And I think it's getting harder, like especially the intermodal trains that have like the shipping containers on them, like
Uh-huh.
those, the old style that had like a little floor you could sit on. Those don't really exist anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and so
Is
it's
that
just like
a preventative measure to keep people from hopping trains, or is it,
I
do
actually
you
think it's just
know?
the way that like the shipping industry has changed. They
Yeah,
like have those. It's just
those
they're
big cranes, they just put them on there and are done with it. There's no need
yeah,
for a
and
floor.
yeah, and as they're
Yeah.
building the new cars, they just like change the style.
Mhm.
And most cars are the longer ones now, and not the 48. They're like 53 feet instead of 48
Oh,
feet. Yeah.
Hmm.
when they go faster now too, like their normal speed or whatever has gone what from like 35 to 45 or something like that.
I mean, some of those intermodal trains, like when you're in the middle of nowhere, they're going like 60 miles an hour,
Oh, for
probably.
real? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny to think of like, so one of the first times I ever went to the Pirate House, they were watching a train hopping documentary in the basement called Free Ride.
Hmm.
It's about all these kids that come to the Northwest, but they start in Minneapolis. And it's got this guy, Dumpy, in it, that he's kind of like famous for being known as the guy that like kind of got punks in the US into riding trains.
Oh, for real?
And he's just like this hilarious, like goofy dude with this like Minnesota accent that like, you know, just lives for free forever. Like he was living
Hmm.
out here. I haven't seen him in a few years, but yeah, he's just like a really funny, interesting guy that, and it was just funny to be like, that was, I remember watching that and like, I'd been around trains forever because my dad worked for the railroad,
Oh, for
but,
real?
um, he like, I'd never ridden them before. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Hmm.
And yeah, and took me a couple years after that to like, really get going. But, Lawrence was always one of those towns where like those types of people would come and get stuck because you either go to Topeka or Kansas City, and everybody's like, just go to Lawrence. And then,
Right.
Hmm.
you can't get out of Lawrence unless you like have a car or hitchhike. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said the movie's called Free Ride?
yeah,
I can't find it. I'm looking
it's,
for it.
it's a very like DIY. I think it was called, I'm almost positive it was called Free Ride. But yeah,
Okay.
it's
I'll
like
find it.
black and white.
Okay.
It's like
I'll
kids
find it
come.
eventually.
Yeah. There's another really cool one called Long Gone that
Hmm.
has, it's like follows these two different groups of people. It's like it's from the mid 90s, late 90s.
Hmm.
It follows these like old home bum type dudes, and then it's like these like younger train rider kids over
Hmm.
the course of a few years. It's that one's really good. It had a Tom Waits songs in it, so I don't
Oh,
know
Of
if
yeah.
it's
course it did.
like
Yeah.
officially released. It used to
Hmm.
be
Mm.
on Vimeo, but I don't know if it is.
Hmm.
No. Vimeo. That's another one we need to advertise for.
Yeah.
Well,
Vimeo.
I
When
mean,
you
that's
just
where a lot
can't
of,
find it anywhere else, it could be on Vimeo.
I think that's where a lot of filmmakers post their
Oh, probably why.
shit. All right, we talked to Thule a little bit about Killed in the Face.
Hmm.
Do you have anything you would like to talk about Killed in the Face?
Which
Which
And
for our
were
listeners,
you
Chris may or may not have been a member of Killed in the Face. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose that. So
And were you drinking at that time? I don't remember because I feel like part of the time you were at the Pirate House, you were sober,
Not,
and
yeah, I stopped drinking like right after my 18th birthday because that was like
okay.
I had one of those like, I felt like I was going to die moments. And I was like, I
Oh
don't want to
yeah.
do this anymore. And I was hanging out a lot with like Mike and some of those other kids that didn't drink. So
Hmm.
hmm
I didn't drink for a couple years. So yeah, I think almost the whole time that was going on, I wasn't drinking.
Hmm.
because yeah, I remember. Yeah, Mike said too that he wasn't drinking during Killed in the Face, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's wild. You guys were sober and you were doing that.
which
That makes
yeah,
it so much more impressive.
and that was kind of, I think the whole thing was the like a reaction to like the weird party college thing.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
was
Which for our listeners, if you don't know, Killed in the Face is one of the greatest bands to have ever existed. So
Yes, of all
look
time.
look for their entire discography, which I'm sure you'll find very easily at your local Camelot Music.
Yes.
yeah, that was yeah, the show that Killed in the Face played when they at that State of Fear show, the trombone got broken in half by one of the, I think it was one of the dudes from Shitlist. I think it was Joe, I think was his name. He like slammed Glamorous Gorilla against the wall and it just like snapped it in half.
Oh shit.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was
Huh.
playing at Love Garden was also hilarious.
Uh-huh.
We just like
hmm
marched up the stairs and I think Kelly is the name of the guy that owns that. He like thought it was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
There was a kid that I went to high school with because Glamorous Gorilla would never wear pants, so like
Uh-huh.
often be naked except for the mask and the cape. And this dude that I went to high school with um was at this party and was like, "Hey man," and like pulled his pants down as well. And it was a very confusing, like, what the fuck? Like,
Solidarity.
yeah.
Didn't you guys run into a frat house?
Yeah. We
A
a
frat
couple
like a frat
times,
party there on Tennessee?
yeah, there was, I don't remember if it was on Tennessee or what. I remember there was one house we went in and Professor Safety stood on the table and then the table broke
Hmm.
and then they just started playing again and there was like a whole entourage of people and that was like, oh shit, we're gonna get our asses kicked, but
Hmm.
hmm
never happened.
I was in the car for one of their shows, driving around and
Were you the getaway driver?
drop it. Well, I wasn't driving. I was in the back seat, but
Okay.
and I don't even know how it happened. I was just hanging out with I think Leslie, and she was like, "Come on,
Was
we're
she the
gonna
getaway
go."
driver?
I
Somebody was the
think
getaway
I
driver.
think so. I was like, "We're
Okay.
gonna go on a Killed in the Face tour."
Now, here's what I want what I need to know. Was Leslie credited in the album as driver?
You'd have to ask Mike about that. I don't
Okay. All right. Jerbear, were you credited as passenger in the album
know.
liner notes?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. That's disappointing. Not giving people
Yeah.
credit for their
Well, listen.
contributions to Killed in the Face. Not cool.
I think that was like one of the funny, like, you could just do stuff like that in Lawrence and
Yeah,
like you guys are
get
talking
away
about
with it.
like you know like just the insane stuff that the cops just didn't ever do anything about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how would they keep up? How would they keep up with all the weird shit that was happening? Like at some point, you just have to go. I mean, is it worth it?
Is anybody hurt? Okay,
Yeah.
fuck
Right.
it.
How
And I
much
feel like most
paperwork
of the
is this going to
things
be?
that
Right.
emanated from like the Pirate House area, like that whole, or they were just weird. They weren't like
Yeah.
necessarily dangerous, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah. Like there was, I remember there was one like around Halloween one year. We went and like, Halloween was over, so they threw all the pumpkins in the dumpster. So we filled up a bunch of people's cars with pumpkins,
Mhm.
and we were just
Yeah.
throwing them off the roof into the street. And
Mhm.
it created this like pumpkin sludge.
Yeah, I
And
remember
at one
that.
point, like a car was like slid through the intersection because they couldn't stop. And I was like, maybe this isn't the best idea. And I think if everybody had been drunk, nobody would have noticed that. But the fact that there were like sober people like
Mhm.
went and like cleaned swept up the street so that there
Uh-huh.
weren't more accidents.
Yeah. It's I am yeah, I'm very impressed that you guys, or that Killed in the Face rather, did all of that stuff sober. I honestly like I drank so much back then. If I'd been sober, I probably would have done literally nothing. Like that was I was just like I could not have done anything even close to that without liquid courage at that point in my life. So, oh, do we have a Twitch?
Yeah, that was Twitch.
All
You
right.
caught it? All right,
I
cool.
got you. Yeah. Staying in.
Then of course when like everybody when I started drinking again, it was like it, was pretty bad. It was just like,
Hmm.
you know, I remember somebody being like saw somebody was like, oh, that's that drunk guy from, whatever house. And that was like what I was referred to as.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
was referred to that a lot as well.
Yeah.
So.
I was usually referred to as the drunk, angry guy. So
Mhm.
I wasn't even that angry. People just thought I was.
Mhm. It's the red hair.
I think
yeah.
so.
Um,
It's some form of hairism, if that's a
Mhm.
thing.
I was thinking though, when I was still in high school and we would hang out at your guys' apartment, you had that picture above your door that was like it was like a picture of I think it was like a mom holding a baby, but it had been drawn over where it was like a taking a bite out of the baby.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it
I
said
forgot
baby
all about that
fun
thing.
to make, fun to eat.
Yeah, I forgot
And
all about that. Holy shit.
so I thought that was hilarious. And I'm in high school and they did in like one of my classes, they were like uh they were like some kid that had died in a drunk driving accident. So they had this chain of life thing, and it was like you promise you won't get drunk and like die in a car wreck or something. So they like we're gonna put all these pieces of paper together, but you had to write your name on them. And I didn't want to do that, so I wrote "babies fun to make, fun to eat" on it.
Mhm.
And turned it in. They're like, no, you have to write your name on it because they thought I turned it in blank. And so I just
Uh-huh.
wrote my name really fast. And then they saw the baby's fun to make, fun to eat. And then apparently the way that I had written my last name, the L's were like crossed like this. And so they thought it was an SS.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
So I get called to the principal's
Oh,
office and they're like, why are you like writing this like, swastika SS stuff? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was wearing a logical nonsense shirt that had like Hitler's head exploding. I was like, this is insane.
so clearly not down with the SS.
Yeah. And I didn't end up getting in trouble or anything, but yeah, that was your guys' fault. So
Oh, nice. I forgot all about that poster. Thanks for reminding me. Oh, good times, good times. Yeah,
There you go.
that was such a shitty picture too. I don't know who did that or where we got it from.
We need to make more of those. Maybe we need
Yeah,
to start like an Etsy account.
right.
Just sell those posters. That's how we can actually make money on this thing, huh?
Who make patches? Yeah, I was trying to think of like all the shit we had hanging up in that apartment. There was that, there was the um Clockwork Orange, Alex, like close up of his face, Train Spotting. You had some space shit up. We had rubber bats hanging, and I remember
Yeah.
one night we had I don't know if you still live there, Nick. I think you did. We had the door open to the patio, and a bat flew into the
Yep.
apartment,
I was there.
and uh,
Mhm.
we had to like wave our arms to block it to get it to fly out again.
Uh-huh. Yep.
That was
I mean,
wild.
because all those bats lived over at that venue across the street that used to be a
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
They lived up in
Uh,
the bell tower or whatever.
what was
Was that place
what's it?
called?
The Madrid?
The Madrid, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
That's where they all came from.
I mostly just remember
Weird
the
shit.
porch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
how filthy it was.
And just I mean just the swimming through the cigarette butts to try to find a chair.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
God, so many cigarette butts. Jesus Christ.
God, we smoked like almost 2 packs a day back then.
Constantly. It was constant.
Yeah.
But we had the
Gross.
wherewithal to not smoke inside the apartment most of the time.
Most of the time,
Smart.
Most of the time.
yeah.
I never smoked cigarettes, but my mom always smoked. So like I was like I
Uh-huh.
feel like I was pretty like nose blind to all of that.
Uh-huh.
And like my mom smoked like in the house, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely had several houses that we just smoked. I mean, shit, I think the central house we just smoked inside in the central house,
Probably.
if I remember right. I think anybody gave a shit at that point.
Yeah.
There was definitely argument at the Flanders house about it, where I was definitely like, I don't want anybody. I think Ray might have been the only one. Ray and Ryan were the only ones that really even smoked.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The compromise was they could smoke in their room, but you weren't allowed to smoke anywhere else in the house.
Right.
Hmm.
I mean, that was the whole reason why we had smoking in the central house was because of Ray and Ryan. So
Oh,
that
really?
tracks. Yeah. Then I moved in and I was like, well, fuck, I smoke too, so that works for me.
Yeah. The thought of that now is just like, what? Like even people like smoking in my yard at my house, I feel weird about because
I
Yeah.
can't walk by bars because people are standing outside smoking. I can barely walk by bars and smell that. It's just like now I've become one of those obnoxious ex-smokers where I'll like walk by and go my fake cough.
Mm. It's it's almost like a shock to the system to see
Yeah,
people smoking now. It's
it
it's
is.
so uncommon. It's really strange how much shit can change in so little time, really. Like
Right.
maybe a decade or
I
so. I don't
remember
know.
getting really, really, really angry when they banned smoking indoors in Lawrence because I was living there at the time,
Hmm.
and I was in the tap room at the lower level. And when it turned midnight, they went around and collected the ashtrays. And I remember I was just so fucking incensed.
Hmm.
I was like, this injustice will not stand. Freedom to smoke. Like, yeah, I was just like giving this big drunken speech about it. Now I'm just like,
Hmm.
man, I'm really glad there's not smoking in bars.
Right.
It's fucking
I
disgusting.
remember Spirit of the Stairs played at the replay like
Hmm.
right after that happened, and there was like a loophole that if you were an entertainer performing in a bar that you could still smoke.
Hmm.
So I was like, I was salty about the smoking ban. I was like,
Yeah.
since I'm performing, I can smoke, right? And they're like, if you really need to, I guess legally you can, but we
Yeah.
don't
But
want you to.
you're kind of a dick for
Right.
it.
So I
way to
didn't,
go, man.
but I wanted to. Uh, yeah, it's been almost 11 years since I drank or smoked cigarettes. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think it's
Joe's wedding
been,
was the
yeah.
last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy that it was at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was Joe's wedding 11 years ago? What year is this?
almost
Is this
2025.
2025?
20, it was 2014.
2014 was his wedding?
Yep.
You sure about that? Is it
Yep.
2014?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Hey, Joe, get back to
100%
us. What year
sure.
was your wedding? Yes, I was there. I was at the wedding. Um,
Oh God.
I
There
even
were,
was, I was even the one who married you and your wife, but still,
yeah,
remind me of the year again.
it was an open bar for 3 days straight.
It was. Yeah.
So,
I drank a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Didn't you stay at my apartment while you were there?
Yes, I
Yeah.
sure
My,
did.
my little tiny
And
apartment on Belmont.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
walked back from the venue to
Yeah.
your apartment
So
because on my
that's
phone, the
multiple
map,
miles.
the
Yeah.
map was like, yeah, it's
Through
not
some
that
of the
far.
through some of the shittiest neighborhoods in Chicago on the west side too.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
going to point that out. It
yeah.
was not a safe walk for you, my friend.
Nah, it was fine. Uh, but yeah, under one of the bridges, there was a Aaron Comet bus tag
Hmm.
written in the sidewalk.
Hmm.
I think it was from like 96, it said Aaron Comet bus 96. It was crazy.
Um,
It's like, holy
you,
shit.
I would like to remind our listeners too that there is a 24-hour public transit system in the city of Chicago that
I kept
Jerbear could have
missing the
easily
bus.
utilized.
I kept missing the bus. I was like, I just missed it. I'm not gonna wait for another one. I'll get to the next stop and there'll be a
Hmm.
bus coming and I'll just hop on then. I just never did. I just walked the whole way. It took like 2 hours at
Yeah,
least.
it's a long
And
way.
I was hungover as fuck too.
Yeah. Hmm.
It was rough. And there was some
We
fucking Polish festival or something in your neighborhood going on when I got back.
Oh, and for our listeners too, Chicago is one of the cities in America where you can literally just hail a taxi. If you see a taxi, you can hail it. They'll pull over and they'll take you to wherever the fuck you want to go. So, yeah,
Yeah, I was exploring.
just a
It
reminder.
was fine. It was fun. I mean, I had a good walk. It
Okay.
was a good time for the most
Sure.
part. I was tired when I got back, but
Yeah, it's a long walk.
I would
Yeah.
have felt shitty in on a bus, in a cab, on a train, in a ditch.
In a
I've felt
plane,
crappy wherever.
on a
Uh-huh.
plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, are we just doing kids' books now?
Yes. That's what that
Okay.
was an allusion to.
Yeah. Green eggs and ham?
Uh-huh.
No, I just read that to my kid just last night.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah. Yeah. He's 4.
My oldest graduates next weekend.
It's crazy, man.
High school. Did you ever make it to the outhouse? Or were you too young for the outhouse?
I was kind of too young for the outhouse. I had this like, I used to think that I went to a show there, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. It was like
Hmm.
one of those weird memories of being like first moving to Kansas City, and like I would just get in, like I just go with my friends to shows, and we went to shows
Hmm.
in Lawrence, but I honestly don't think that it was around by the time I moved there. So
Hmm. I
yeah.
think by
97?
97
Yeah,
it
97.
was done.
Yeah.
I think that's when it ended.
Yeah. But I went to a couple shows there. I came up from Wichita because I was still in Wichita at the time. And I didn't know where, like, and, we've talked about this before, but like, I didn't know where, it wasn't a legendary place to me. It was just, hey, we're going up to Lawrence for the weekend. We're
Right.
going to go
It's
watch a band
dirty
play.
field.
And I just went wherever the other people went.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure crashed on Stein's couch, probably. That's one of the
Probably.
people I knew up there at the time. So, yeah. Jeff Stein, if you listen to this podcast, let me know if I crashed on your couch when I went to the outhouse 2 times. If you can remember
I'm
that,
sure it was.
probably.
I don't know
Yeah.
who else it would be.
At 97, I think he probably was about one of the only people I knew in Lawrence.
I
Yeah.
definitely would drive to Lawrence to shows when I was in high school and then drive home. But I also
Hmm.
like I drank in high school, but usually like when I had a car, I would like drive my friends around and then they would get drunk because I was one of the
Hmm.
few people that I hung out with that actually had a car. Most of my friends were either like a little bit younger or just didn't have a vehicle for whatever reason. So
Hmm.
Yeah. Jerbear, you didn't have a car. I drove us to shows in Lawrence.
Yeah, I didn't
And
have.
that
I
little
sold my
green car I
car.
had. Yeah.
I sold my van to Sean when I moved up.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Then I had like a 89 Hyundai Excel, like green
Hmm.
4-speed stick
Hmm.
shift. Not even 5-speed. Did
Did it
not have
have a
that fifth
name?
gear. What's that?
Did it have a name?
Oh shit.
I feel like it did.
I called it Green Goblin for a while. I don't know if it stuck
Hmm. I don't know.
because there's just this little green, like the ugliest shade of green you could imagine. Like just
I thought it was like teal or something.
yeah, it was like a really ugly teal. Like not even like a nice one. It just I don't know.
the
It was
Fresca
weird.
color,
What's that?
the Fresca color.
Yeah. Hmm. Two door hatchback, 4-speed. Yeah.
Nice.
But it got us to Lawrence.
So, did you go to school with Nick and Ray and Joe, or did you meet them at G Coffee? How did you guys become friends and wind up living together in the Flanders house?
I went to high school with Joe. He was like a year or maybe two grades ahead of me. Um, but I was friends with like Brad and Jeff and those kids and Brooke. And then I met Ryan Crossland and her friend Yvonne. Like
Oh,
me,
yeah, I
Ryan,
forgot
and
about
Jeff
them.
met them at a show at G Coffee, and it was like, dude, there's this thing called Old Sutler's Day. Do you know what that was? It's like
Hmm.
yeah, it's like an old
Yeah, I
timey
remember that.
cowboy thing downtown. And they had these like big turkey legs, and and I don't know, it was Ryan or Yvonne, but they were like, you know, hanging out, just being weirdos, and they found one of those turkey legs, and they dared us to like take bites out of it, and we did because we were like, oh, cute girls.
I like that you said
I
they
think it was
found it.
Ryan like tossed it, and it hit a car, and then
Hmm.
people chased us, and all of us like ran inside of G Coffee and hid, and then and then later, like Ryan somehow knew I worked at Original Pizza, and so she brought Ray to meet me. She's like, "You should be friends with my boyfriend."
Mm.
And then I think I met Johnny at G Coffee, and then like Dave, and then and then Nick came around somehow, and then yeah, that's how we all met. And then
Hmm.
Nick and Jamie Timberg went to like Shawnee Mission West, and Ray went to Shawnee Mission North. Like I don't remember all. There was like that whole area. There was like six different schools or something, and
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, Shawnee Mission direction.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
and like the
So,
one area, the high school I went to was like kind of on the edge of town, so it was like this bizarre mixture of like super rich kids and then like kids that lived on farms and stuff. So
Hmm.
uh-huh.
it
Yeah.
was a fun
Nice.
mixture.
I don't remember meeting Dave until you all moved into the Flanders house.
He was from
Was
Leavenworth.
Yeah.
he's from Leavenworth, so he didn't hang out in Kansas City when we first met. I
Yeah. How
like I
did you
said, I
guys
don't
meet
recall meeting him
Dave?
until the
Yeah.
Flanders house, and I thought he was a dork.
Hey,
he,
Dave, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
he did a benefit show, like a Food Not Bombs benefit,
Hmm.
G Coffee, I think. He did some kind of benefit show, and that's how we all met. And well, that's how we met him at least. And I think that's also how we met some of the kids like Jesse and like all the Pirate House kids because
Hmm.
they were a
Hmm.
part of it somehow.
Yeah.
Were you friends with Vince?
I knew him just from the Pirate House, but
Okay, but you weren't like friends or anything.
yeah, I mean, I went after he moved to Oakland. Me, Daniel, and Brooke and Jamie like took a Greyhound out there to go visit him, uh,
Hmm.
and that was an insane like trip. But that was so yeah, we were like friends, but he was more like an acquaintance, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you know what happened to his brain?
I don't. I
What?
I lived in Oakland like this
Mhm.
is like 10 years ago now. He
Hmm.
was living there, and then I would like just see him riding his bike, and then I like not long after I moved up here, some band from like San Diego or something was here, and I went to the 7-Eleven by my house, and he was there, and we like made eye contact, and he just like looked away, and I was like, oh, I guess you don't want to talk, but um I asked Mike Tooley about it. And he's like, yeah, I think he's living in Portland. And then he was at the bar that I worked at,
Hmm.
and he was like old Vince, where he was just like extremely intoxicated, and
Mm.
he, yeah. And so I don't know.
Huh.
I mean, I
See,
think
when I
maybe,
first met him, he was straight edge,
yeah,
and like a lot of those dudes broke the edge at the same time, and they did it in spectacular fashion.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like somebody smoked crack and somebody else took peyote, and that's how they broke the edge was like the gnarliest way possible. And I think he might have been like I think he took acid or peyote or something to break the edge, and then I don't know if that broke his brain too or what, but
Why not start with like, I don't know, like a cigarette and a Schlitz or something? I mean,
nah. If you're gonna break the edge, break the edge.
let's go with peyote. Nothing to peyote.
I also kind of feel like sometimes, depending on how people get sober again, they're like,
Mhm.
whatever community they end up in, there's kind of like a bizarre, kind of like right wing conspiracy theory thing.
Yeah.
There's
Hmm.
definitely some people I've known, that I met later that were like pretty severe drug addicts that kind of went down
Oh, really?
that path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's
Hmm.
been
That's really interesting.
seemingly, I mean, that's become like, it's odd. That's become kind of common with people who, you know, who we thought we had solidarity with back in the day. I don't know if you've noticed, like people we know who were, either like old punks or hippies who were just like kind of cool or like going down this weird right wing pipeline now. It's become like a really common thing to the point where it's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've definitely, it's, it's weird.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, like, I mean, when I was younger, I didn't think that you guys were like apolitical, but you definitely weren't like, the, asshole political people like,
Hmm.
I was for a time. And so it's like it's refreshing to see that, you guys are probably, more left than you were back then
Oh
even.
yeah. I
Well,
mean,
I had already gone through my.
I was
Go ahead.
actively apolitical back then. I was like, I get mad when people talk about politics, and now I'm pretty far left. So I've definitely done quite the shift. So,
I had already gone through my asshole activist phase and got burnt out on activism from people being like shitty about it, like you're not doing enough, you don't
Yeah.
take it seriously, you drink too much, and I'm like, look, man, like I care about shit, but it's not all I care about, and I'm also going to have fun. And so by the time I moved to Kansas City, like I still had strong leftist ideals. I just didn't really talk about them because I cared more
Yeah.
about partying and shit.
Hmm.
But yeah, like the last, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of when like really I started being vocal about my politics. It was probably, I don't know, Bush, Bush's second term, um, maybe Obama's first term. I don't know.
Hmm.
I started embracing politics and talking about it a lot more because I'm fucking sick of shit, man. Fucking
Yeah.
Yeah.
sucks. Um, all our tax money goes to bombing brown people instead
Right.
of taking care of the people who
Right.
need it in this country. Not that I'm not saying that we should be nativists and nationalists and shit like that, but like all of our money goes towards killing and
Exactly.
very
Hmm.
little of our money goes towards helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem, you know.
Yeah.
And then I see fucking scumbags that used to be fucking chill that we hung out with supporting a genocide. And I
Yeah.
just like I can't fuck with it. Like
It's
I don't
that stuff is
like
definitely like really bummed me out and like made me really angry and like yeah, like I don't it's like it's been hard like processing some of that like
mhm.
you know
Uh, we
especially
don't we don't need to necessarily name names, but I've
yeah,
definitely seen you arguing on Facebook and I mean we've both been arguing against certain people
yeah,
since October 7th, and I just wound up like deleting them and not talking to them anymore because it's not fucking worth it. And I like somebody who supports genocide is somebody who supports genocide. I don't care
yeah,
who's
Right.
exactly.
doing the genocide. I don't care who the genocide is upon. If you
Hmm.
support genocide, fuck you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have any room in my life for you. So
Hmm.
yeah,
yeah,
it's weird to see the people that are supporting that because I never would have guessed in a million years uh
Yeah.
that wow, super
Hmm.
disappointing.
Yeah. There seem to be two key issues that have um, taken a lot of people like off what I would think would be just the leftist view of just basic humanism, and that's for some reason Gaza and trans issues.
yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know why people can't just wrap their head around like, hey, maybe we shouldn't just not kill people and not be dicks to people, especially like I don't claim to be an expert on the trans experience or anything, but I think it's just better to not be an asshole to people. Like maybe just be cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty
yeah.
fucking easy, man. Like,
I talk to my dad about this a lot. He's like also he's like a pretty left person. Like he
hmm
been a union member forever.
Hmm.
It's like I just talk about how like so many people are like pissed off because the entire world suddenly didn't revolve around them. And
right.
Hmm. Yeah.
hmm
they're just like they lash out. They're like, "What do you mean? Like, we have to watch a movie with like, you know, not white person in it, and like,
Right. There's a black person in this fictional universe.
exactly. It's just
Okay. Isn't the whole universe made up anyway? So why
yeah,
do you care?
Yeah.
Especially Star Wars and like Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, it's all made up.
yeah,
This isn't a historically accurate thing. It's just made up.
yeah.
So
Yeah, you have no
literally anybody
problem.
can be in it.
Yeah, you have no problem when like there's you show somebody from like the Middle East. It's just a white person, like a historical
Right.
character. Like you
Right.
don't have
Right.
Yeah.
a problem with that.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or Mickey Rooney playing an East Asian man
Exactly.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Breakfast at
Right.
Tiffany's. That's oof. Yeah, go back and watch that. That doesn't age well.
So, well, you're just being woke now. You can't
Right.
say anything. Like,
So, how involved were you with the like activism in Lawrence and like the anarchist bookstore and stuff like that? And did you also have like an FBI file or whatever a handful of people had?
I mean, I was like pretty heavily involved with like I was when I helped start the Mother Earth Collective, like I was, and then I moved in there, and
Hmm.
then we moved to the old Central Soy Foods building, and then
Hmm.
shortly after that was when I kind of were just like kind of had the same thing where I was like, I can't just do this all the time, and like I need to have fun, and like I was drinking again at that point, and
Hmm.
I've never like looked if I had an FBI file, but the FBI came to my house
Hmm.
because the when we organized that anarchist gathering in like 2003 or whenever
Hmm.
that was, my PO box was like the address that
Oh,
for all the correspondence, because my PO box address was PO box 1492.
oh,
So I
nice.
like that.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't there, but my roommate like they knocked on the door and then they asked if I was home. And my roommate's like, no, he's at work or something. And then they handed him a business card. And so I'm assuming that there was some kind of file,
Hmm.
somewhere
Interesting.
or in somebody else's file, but I
Hmm.
never looked into it or anything because
Yeah.
I
Wait,
definitely,
who else had an FBI file?
I know like
Oh,
Dave
for real?
did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Dave was on like a fucking like super security list at the airport where he got like body cavity searched every time he got on a flight. And at the
Jesus.
time he was doing like stage work, like setting up stage for big acts and stuff. So he was traveling multiple times a week, and would get felt up every single time. And he did a FOIA and got some answers. I think
Mhm.
he's still waiting on a lot of shit, but yeah, it was pretty bad for him. I know Alicia had one, I'm pretty sure.
Jesus, really?
I don't remember. Did Nicole say she had one or not? I think I don't remember.
Did she?
She might have been like Chris, where she's like, I don't know, maybe I did.
I
But
remember that there was some like later it was there was like a some of those folks like sued the police department for something,
mhm.
I think for harassment, and then they had to the police department had to give over this like surveillance footage and
Yeah.
watching it, and it was just like people were having a meeting in a park, and it was just like
Uh,
them, and then somebody went to like pee on a tree, and they like focused in on that. It was just really weird.
Pervs.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, that's so bizarre. Are you doing any activism now? I mean, aside, we talked a little off camera about what you're doing for work, which is, very meaningful and makes a difference
I not
for the world. So,
not so much.
mhm.
I when I not long after I moved to Portland, myself and a handful of people started a like mobile like needle exchange. So
Mhm.
we would go to different like spots where like homeless encampments and just places where drug users hung out, and we would give out like clean syringes and cookers and stuff like that, like
Mhm.
safe use supplies and Narcan.
Mhm.
And that was like run out of my garage for a long
Oh
time,
wow.
and then they kind of like kept expanding, and we that house got evicted, and so they moved to like they got like a warehouse space at this info shop, and I still would help out for a while, but like once I started my job, I was just kind of like I was like I don't have time for this, and
Yeah.
I ran into a lot of that same kind of like there was like the people that I knew that were just like this is the thing that we're doing, we're like giving out needle supplies to people that need them, and then there was other
Mhm.
folks that were like they were like more activist types, and
Mhm.
I was like there was lots of weird discussions about I don't know, like obviously I'm not down with like people being fucked up and racist, but like we're giving drug supplies like clean needles to people who need them, and so like if some dude has like a weird swastika tattoo, I'm not gonna not give him syringes because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff like that, and I just kind of like stopped being as involved, and
Mhm.
yeah, so I still like they'll have benefits and stuff, and I'll go to that and participate,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't do any like I would say like any sort of political activism per se,
Mhm.
but
I mean, it's tough as we get older.
Yeah.
And I know Neckbone and I both have kids, and like putting ourselves at risk has much more consequences now
Hmm.
than, in our 20s when, we could get into good trouble.
I was trying to think the other like I was thinking about like just dumb things of like hanging out in Kansas City, and one memory that I had, I think it with uh just there was like a time where we were hanging out at a like remember Brooke and Daniel Goldman lived in like that weird apartment kind of near the art
Art,
it's
Kansas
yeah, the
City Art
art
Institute.
museum, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
the art
And
museum.
we all, I don't remember if if you were there, Neckbone, but there was a we climbed on top of a building, and you were there later, but we climbed on top of a building, and Carolina like tripped and like fell off of like this ledge onto the like part of the roof, and we were like freaked out because you're like, oh, like a head injury, and we've been drinking. I remember like going back to the house, and we didn't know what to do, and we were like asking you because we were like, oh, like he should know what to do, and then I think you were just like playing music or something, and we
Yeah.
ended up calling like Mike Tooley at like 3 in the morning.
I don't know how it was decided that I knew what to do.
Just because
I
you were
think,
older.
I
yeah,
think I was a pizza
probably.
delivery driver at the time, so maybe you thought that I had like
Or
EMT experience from delivering pizzas.
maybe
You're
because
just
you had
like
to deal with me so
panicking.
much.
Right.
You must have been with us the whole time because I don't remember where you lived, but yeah,
Mhm.
you were definitely like in their apartment, and like we were trying to keep Carolina from falling asleep because that's like the only thing I knew. And you're like, oh,
Right.
Mhm.
play music.
Don't fall asleep.
I feel like in Portland, everything is a bar, like
Mhm.
everywhere. It's
Yeah.
there's still there's several like show bars, and there's still like punk houses here. There's like one
Mhm.
pretty close to my house that I like wanted to go to a show there, and I was like texting all these people trying to figure out where it was, and then I
Mhm.
drove by and I was like, absolutely not. It was like everybody there looked like literal teenagers, and I was like, I'm
Oh
not
fuck.
going
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem with house shows is like you have all these fond memories and you're like, man, I used to go to house shows when I was like 16, 17, and it was so much fun. And then you try to go to one as an adult and you're like, oh right. I
Yeah,
went as 16 and 17 and so are people now.
yeah.
So
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think I want to be here actually.
And there's like some friends of ours like just bought a building, and they moved their like venue bar slash record store, and then they have a couple other things that are going on there just recently, and that's pretty awesome. It's like this place called Blackwater, and it's like it's been around for like I think 25 years now. Like he started the record as like a record shop like years ago, and it's just like kind of grown, and then it turned into a vegan restaurant,
Oh,
and
nice.
now like and then they had a record store separate, and now they have like it's all in one place. It's pretty rad space, and like they bought the building, so it's like they don't have to worry about shitty slumlords anymore.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And like my girlfriend's a tattoo artist, so
Oh, nice.
it's just like through that world too. It's like
Mhm.
you know punks and weirdos, and
Mhm.
you know she also tattoos a lot of like very basic white ladies that like pretty
Mhm.
stuff, but
Sure. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
like mostly her own stuff that she likes. She's not like you know tattoo flash person. She like makes her own stuff that she wants to do, so it's pretty awesome.
Mhm. That's
Hmm.
rad. Yeah, the uh my friend that tattoos me, she does permanent makeup also, and that's actually what most of her income comes from, I think now, is doing like microblading and permanent
Yeah,
makeup.
the
But
when Meg started her, the person she like got a shop with did microblading, so it was
mhm.
like yeah, that was that's like a whole. It's like bizarre.
Yeah, yeah. She was like the first officially licensed microblader in either Wichita or Kansas. I think Kansas. I don't know. She's super rad. Now she's doing like gender affirming tattoos for people, and she's
Awesome.
trying to do a lot of it for free.
That's cool.
And like mastectomy.
Oh yeah.
patients and stuff. She's
Yeah.
doing tattoos for them as well.
That's
And I want to say that she's trying to do it for free for a lot of those people, and she'll do like I think their shop does free hate tattoo cover-ups.
Oh, that's cool.
Kid
Yeah.
too. Um, yeah, she's super fucking rad.
So of course, Jerbear will be sending you my novel when it's done, so you can give me notes.
Hmm.
And don't
Hmm.
worry, the graphic sex scenes will be very uncomfortable for you. So I
Excellent.
can't wait.
There's that's the best way to have my
Yep.
sex scenes is
Yep.
uncomfortable.
50 Shades of Gary, everybody, coming your
Yep.
way.
oh
I
boy.
can't wait.
2026.
Chris, thanks for being a guest and hanging out with us. And I'm sure you know what's next.
Mhm.
Shit split, filter blats.
So I've gone so many like back and forth with this.
Uh-huh.
Definitely when I was a teenager, I always said blats.
Hmm.
And then when I got a little older, I would have said filth. And I was
Hmm.
lucky enough to get to see filth play a couple times when they did those
Oh
reunions
wow. Hmm.
Nice.
in Oakland. But now I'd say I'm probably back to blats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
More
Nice.
my speed of like of punk, I think.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdo, you know,
Yeah.
don't really look punk, more look like a, random homeless person and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and my
Flats
friends.
is just more fun.
It
Yeah,
I don't
is.
know.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Filth, but it is definitely like
Yeah.
one of those bands where you're like, they're really taking themselves seriously. So
But they sound like it, but do they take themselves seriously? I
I
don't know.
don't know. I've never spoken with them directly. So
The documentary, I mean,
mm,
uh, somebody that was friends with Jake Filth
mm,
said
yeah.
that they started as a joke and then he started taking it seriously. So who can
Okay.
say?
So if anyone from the band Filth, if you listen to this podcast,
Johnny?
please,
Johnny, were you
please,
in Filth?
please let us know. Do you take
Fill our
yourselves
filth gap.
seriously, or is it really just a joke? Let us know. Call us live at 1-800. No, we don't have a live number.
Is
Uh,
call in still a thing? Maybe we should do a call in.
should we do a call in?
I think that would be great.
Since this is multiple days pre-recorded, we'll just be like,
Right.
okay, go ahead and call this number, and then just sit in awkward silence.
Nobody's calling us.
I don't know why
Why
no
isn't
one's
anybody
calling us. I have the number on the screen. I don't get it.
calling?
They could leave messages and you can play them on the next.
Mhm,
We
mhm.
get some people, some YouTubers do that. They just take messages and just play them on the air or on the recording, I should say. Yeah, thanks,
It was
Chris. Thanks
really
for
good
joining
hanging out.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, great talking to you guys. It's cool to actually get to see you too, not just
Yeah,
hear.
for sure.
yeah,
And thanks for being a patron.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
For
right.
sure.
We'll give
That's
you a
fucking
shout out
awesome.
at the end of this episode that you were
Uh-huh.
on.
Yeah.
it took me a while to figure out how to do those things, but
Oh.
Hmm.
so now I should support these things. So
It took me a while to
Nice.
figure out how to set up a Patreon page, so it's okay.
I have a button maker. I'm gonna make buttons. Do you have a preference of what button I make?
no,
'Cause I have Pirate House. I have Boston Apartments. I might have a Flanders. I don't know.
Do you have a Flanders?
I might. I don't
Do
know
we have
for
a
sure.
photo of Flanders for you to
I'm not
make one
sure.
offer? Okay.
And maybe not. Maybe we
Yeah. I
don't.
think did you do Central House? Central House too?
I
Thought
don't
you
know.
did.
I don't remember.
Okay. Well,
Maybe.
yeah.
Uh, Kansas Street, but you don't know shit about Kansas Street, poser.
Yeah. Let's do a Flanders button. Who's got a picture of the Flanders house? Joe, I know you've got one
Yeah,
somewhere.
I bet Joe probably does.
Yeah, go and send us that. Go and send us that photo. We
I
can.
mean, we could look on the on Zillow, see if it has a picture of it, and then just make
We
it
could.
dirty.
It's yeah. It's not gonna
It's
look the
kind of
same. We'd have to.
I
yeah.
It's
feel like
probably
it's
been cleaned
fun.
up.
I don't. When I was briefly in Lawrence when I was back at that wedding. I like drove
Mhm.
past and I think it's gone, but I
Oh,
could.
Oh, yeah. I
they,
think
they
I
just
think it
tore
is
it
too,
down. They were just like,
actually.
ah, fuck it, just
Yeah.
tear it down, start over.
Those punk rockers really fucked this place up. If you make it to Kansas, hit me up for sure.
Yeah, let me know. I'll plan a trip around the same time.
All right, cool.
Cool. All right. Later.
man. Take it easy.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Make sure you look at our website, www.prairiepunkpress.com. You can find all of our socials, links to all of our podcasts, and you can find my election form for running for Pope. Make sure that you vote for me for Pope, because I'm the real Pope, probably.
Neckbone for Pope 2025.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.